Wada, Yinga Yenyinda, Rangarayara, Apmilama. Yenana, Kichikuka, Kichinuka, Keelan Kamara, Mbaraka. Hello, I will be reading you all a story. This story was made by my son, Keelan Kamara. Orda Kernda Pa Samantha, Iceman and Samantha. Written and illustrated by Keelan Kamara. Orda Kernda Ngana Naka. Ira Kamaraka Mira Kerndanga. Lundra Maba Rena Testamalaka. Etna Tantaka. Etinya Rena Kwaja Kerndala. Iceman got kidnapped and he woke up in a cold place. The government tested on him by putting radioactive cold water in his veins. Orda Korna, Ndornga Loalama Rilla Mabana, Etnana Yapmala. Bad man brainwashes people by staring at them. Samantha La, Noel Cora, Watch Inaka. Orda Kerndanga. Ira Power Inaka, Ngalirichika, Ndorngalila. Samantha bought a watch for her husband from Iceman and got the power to move stuff with her mind. Orta Kornala, Dornga Laulama, Orta Kerndaka, Kardala. Samantha La Kwaja, Nurlaka, Orta Kernda, Freezerijaga. Orta Kerndala, Dantaka, Orta Korna, Kwaja Kernda Lila. The bad man brainwashes Iceman's dad. Samantha moves cold water, and Iceman freezes it and pokes bad man. Etnana Arnaka Orta Korna Antarctica ka. Etna Pari Mbaraka Kala Mara. They put bad man in Antarctica, then they have a big party. The end. Wada Rangaramara Reed Nanuka Samantha Pananga Armstrongna Yinga Orwija Prodam Ndakara Arandarinya Mirakuta Nana Rilla First Nations of Oklahoma Mabaka Nurna Anjarama Itlarjika Rilla Inguia Maba Yerkala Parilla Inguia Maba Yaranama. Hello, how are you all? My name is Samantha Pananga Armstrong. I am a Pertame, Southern Aranda woman. This land will always belong to the First Nations people of Oklahoma. We would like to acknowledge the elders, past, present, and still with us.
Wada written in Nokalan Kamara Swanga Yinga Pertame Orguja Tongarinya. Hi everyone, my name is Leanne Swan. I'm also a Pertame woman and I come from Henbury Station, Muratunga. I would like to introduce my Auntie Christabel. Auntie Chrissy has had this dream for years to start a school to get her family and her community, Pertame community, back together and speaking fluently the old language. Auntie Chrissy started off at IID, which is an Institute for Aboriginal Development in Alice Springs, putting the Aranda language together with a linguist, John Henderson. She became an interpreter and translator, interpreting 3 languages. She interpreted in the hospitals, translating material for people out of the Australian National University. She worked in the courthouses in the Northern Territory. She's a well sought after interpreter and travelled right across the NT to interpret in those 3 languages. Auntie Chrissy is my dad's younger sister. She has wanted to start a school for around 20 to 30 years now. I remember her telling me when I was in my early 20s that it's time to start and time for us all to learn again. Just recently, in the last 3 years, we've got involved with the MAP program, the Master's Apprentice program. It's been a godsend for us. And with there's 4 of us apprentices under 1 master at the moment. Unfortunately, Auntie Chrissy's just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so we have to start looking for other masters to help us keep Auntie Chrissy on track and keep us moving forward. There's 4 of us apprentices, sorry. There's 4 of us apprentices. There's 4 of us apprentices, yes. Right. This is some, the smaller map insert is of our country. I know without a map of Australia, this probably doesn't mean much. But we are dead centre of Australia. So from the top and the bottom, joined together, and from east and west, joined together, we're basically there. That is Pertame. It runs approximately 3 kilometres south, 3 kilometres? 3 to 500 kilometres south, should I say. The photo on your right with the rock, the Rainbow Valley, we've actually got family land behind that. The middle photo is of a group of Pertame people at a church gathering. My dad is about 4th on the left, from the left. The purple flowers are a native parakeelia. They come out after rain, and there's always a blanket of purple flowers across the sandhills. In this photograph, I've heard a lot in the last couple of days about the boarding schools. My mum is seated 4th from the left on the 2nd row. 2nd row from the bottom. Her and her siblings were put in a home to be taught English, and of course, in those times, as well as everywhere across the world, English was the only language allowed to be spoken. Mum went in as a 4-year-old, speaking only Lurija, her native tongue. While in there, of course, she lost her language. Her and her siblings were classed as inmates. So she was a 4-year-old inmate, which was quite shocking when I researched this for myself. They became wards of state. not through the fault of their mum. Their mum was told to stay away. She might disrupt their education. So she was told to stay away for at least 4 years. So of course, my mum and her siblings spent every holiday in that home. Everyone else got to go home to their parents, and they stayed. Unfortunately, Mum lost her language, but when she got back with her family, she was able to pick it back up. It took her a while, but she became a fluent speaker again. So that's a good story to that ending.
Our vision, grow the next generation of Pertame speakers within a strong, connected and thriving Pertame community to honour the culture and worldview of our old people. So by using the MAP, Master and Apprentice immersion methods, hopefully we'll be seeing a return to the old ways of learning and knowing, where elder knowledge is honoured above everything else, and that is with our learning of Pertame.
This is our chant. Excuse me. This is our chant we say. We say this at every class, whether it be our younger kids, our primary school age kids, our high school kids, or our adult classes. It means we are Pertame people. We have always been here. Our language will never finish.
Gidja Norna Nama Nornakana. Our language is who we are. This is a diagram of what it is to be a Pertame person. So everything's all interconnected. Unda Nguna, identity. Mira, country. Gitja, language. Barnaririnja, kinship. Rilakngara Paramapa, old people. Myrna Busharinya, bush foods. Paintalama, art. Ndapa, dance. Aljamaba, family. Ilinja, song. Rata, bush medicine. So although language represents all that is, language represents all that is who we are as Pertame people, defining everyday living that is interconnected with our traditions and customs. Our values. Language as the life breath of our community, self-determination, elder knowledge above all, strength-based. Our language is who we are. Family is everything. Language is culture, health and healing.
This is our kinship system. If you can see, I've got a shirt on with Kamara. That's my skin name. I'll just explain my family line. I am Kamara. My father was Parula. His father was Kamara. Those blue arrows represent that's the man's line. So my grandfather's Kamara, his son was Parula, and then all of my father's children are Kamara. My brother's children would all go to Parula. But because I'm a female, I have to follow that pink line down to the grey area, Kware. And I've got 2 sons, so they will start their journey on that blue line again, from the grey to the yellow. So Kware to Pultara. Their children will be Pultara. I've also got a daughter, So her journey will continue on that pink line from the grey, Ngare, to Mbijana. Her children will be Mbijana mob. Our kinship defines who we are and things like how we're related to people, who we can marry, for instance. For me, my kara was Perula. My kara was Perula. My mother should have been Pananga. It will also tell me where my grandmother's skin is and where my grandfather's skin, my grandmother Ipmana, or my grandmother Perla. So you're the Perla or you're the Ipmana. That's both sides of the family. Yeah. And there's also one more line I have to point out, is the dotted line. And that's who you can marry. That's a very important one, who you can marry along those lines there.
So this is a slide of our Master and Apprentice project manager, Vanessa Farrelly. 2019, Vanessa travelled to New York with her grandmother, Kathleen Bradshaw, to attend the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. She went there to learn about the Master and Apprentice language revival. So our Master and Apprentice sessions are undertaken 5 days a week for 4 hours, or maybe 3.5. These sessions are varied, but they're always undertaken with our elder, who is our master, to oversee that we are learning Pertame correctly with all our sessions. So we do interactive games in Pertame, cooking in Pertame. I think, yeah, so there's a few pictures of us, so we're just going over books, games, we do silent movies. So with our Masters and Apprentice, we're creating fluent speakers of Pertame. So, and our Master and Apprentice program in Australia, it is the only active Master and Apprentice program. So there's no other ones just yet. These are survival phrases that we learn as apprentices to teach others, even for ourselves as we come to get reconnected with language. So who, what, when, where, why, how. Nguna, Wina, Ilangara, Ndana, Winanga, Ndakana. How do you say? Ndakana undangama. What are you doing? Wina undambarama. What am I doing? Wina atambarama. What is he, she doing? Wina erambarama. What should I do now? Wina ndama ata yanambarama. What is that? Winalana. What is that? Or what is this? Ndana wina. Talk slowly. Say it again. Say that again. Monjangay, wutangay. Tell me a story. Yin nukap Malay. Speak Pertame, not English. Pertame gay. English teacher. So as I explained previously, our master and apprentice sessions, they run for 10 to 20 hours a week. That involves a lot of other things that we have, like the Bradshaw primary classes, which are run weekly for an hour. And then we have another primary school class that's just recently been, that's just recent, yeah. We've recently started teaching the kids there. We have community performances and presentations, adults community classes, which are run weekly, school holiday programs, so there's about 4 a year, and we do language curriculum development and online video resource production. And not to mention on-country apprenticeships camps.
As Samantha was saying, our Pertame classes, we started off last year with Bradshaw Primary School. We've since done 5 terms, 5 10-week terms with them. We've also started again last term with Larapinta. This school was identified because my children were going there, Samantha's children were also going there, and we identified another 20-odd kids were going there that were Pertame. So we thought, that's a great group of kids, so let's go there first, let's try there. So we've started off with there. They learned the basics, head, shoulders, knees and toes, through singing, games, exactly what we're learning in our Master's Apprentice, we're applying with them. We teach them skin name, how to introduce themselves, how to interact with others in general conversation. How are you? Who are you? You know, saying who they are, etc. School holiday programs. We've been running them in town because of the heat during summer holidays, but we do on-country school holiday breaks, and they're normally about 3 to 5 days. We've visited kids out to the reptile centre where they'd learn the language names of the animals. We've done art with them. The older kids, as you'll see a little bit later, we've done interviews with them. These children do art as well as learning a new song every school holiday. And we do revisit everything we've learned during the school term. This here is where we, on a school holiday in September, we got our high school kids involved. It's always hard to get them involved, so we thought technology. So we got them all to invite an older person in, one of their own elders, so that they can interview them, ask them where they come from, who are their parents, etc., so they can learn who they are and who they belong to. Before the interviews, we took them to the town library, to the Aboriginal Local Australo Research Centre, which is a lot of items and research material that was collected from the Lutheran pastors about Aboriginal people. We've got a lot of stuff, and then the kids came in and they made up questions and went off and interviewed their elders. Performances we did during the school holidays, during winter time actually. We had the Alice Springs Beanie Festival where the kids performed about 5 songs. All of the kids were unsure of themselves at this time. We had a couple of kids being the MCs. this was their first performance. They did so well, and we automatically seen that the confidence in them was so much greater. In all of their school classes, they portrayed themselves more stronger. They were able to talk to us without prompting. So just that little experience being out in the public speaking and performing, that's actually given them more confidence.
Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are 4 on-country learning trips that occur 4 times throughout the year, usually taking kids back out on country where they are fully immersed in just Pertame language. And while they're there, they learn the correct words for plants, animals. What else is that? Yeah, with the painting. So there's some painting that's up on the top corner. They're making Ananda beads. In the middle, there's swimming that's involved. In the middle, they're collecting arata, and there's the arata bush medicine, and a photo of the kids holding jijira, which is frog. So adults' evening classes are run every week, 1 day a week. I had started going to adults' classes before commencing the apprenticeship. These classes, they are apprentice-led classes, so we'll teaching extended family members child rearing language, which they can use in their homes. So that would involve teaching kids how to put their shoes on by telling them, putting their shoes on or where's their shoes. So Boran Guang and Dana, asking if a kid's hungry. Onda Nungala, asking a child if they're thirsty. Onda Ngatala. So just all basic everyday language which they can teach, which they can learn and then teach their kids.
This year we've had the opportunity to be featured in a couple of magazines. There's the Cultural Survival was in PAX, and the other magazine was Territory Q. Territory Q. We've also had Shania on the cover of Frankie. I'm not too sure. I think that's like a teenage magazine. Nuna Nilpana Andora, awards and achievements. This year we were quite successful. Ani Chrissy got the National NAIDOC Elder of the Year in Australia. Our NAIDOC is National Aboriginal Islander Day Observance Committee. We actually have a week that we celebrate our nationality and our Indigenous. We also got the Northern Territory Author of the Year Award as of the school. Where's that book? Yeah. In the school class, with this book, with a group of the kids from Bradshaw, made their own hero stories, and we printed them out and submitted it as a group. And we got the first prize with that. Vanessa has been awarded the AMP Foundation Tomorrow Makers grant, and also Shania, one of our apprentices, and Shania started from year 11. She got some accreditation to go through school and finished year 12, completed year 12 as well as doing the apprentice with us Pertame group. She's our strongest speaker and writer, so she's very confident. What's making it hard to do? When they called her Eligica. We want to get more men involved. I notice here at the immersion schools here and the Master's Apprentice program that there were a whole heap of men involved with Cherokee Nation. Unfortunately for the Pertame people, it's very hard to get our blokes up there and helping us. We've got a lack of permanent funding. As everywhere, money has always been an issue for us anyway. Lateral violence within the community, meaning instead of being praised for what we're trying to do, we might get a bit of a knockback, saying that we're doing it wrong, or without them actually coming out and seeing what we're doing. Our own space, a home for our language. I believe that if we had our own space, we could have so many different programs happening at the same time, all involving English, Pertame only, leave English at the gate, etc. Immersion, full immersion, lack of access to fluent speakers. Like I said, Auntie Chrissy has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so we have to actually go out in the community. And I heard earlier that the Cherokee people actually registered elders. So we're going to embrace that as well and go out into the community, ask who is fluent and who is willing to help, and go from there. Now, family commitment. We do get our praises. Everyone's very proud of what we're doing. Our immediate mob. There are a lot of things, I suppose, happening in people's families that can't do anything. The workers get tired after work. They have grandchildren they have to look after, etc. So family commitment is a big one. We are hoping this year that we can get at least, put an hour or 8 on it, and that they can commit to a certain amount of hours. Bring Pertame into the home. We found that with the primary school kids, they didn't have anyone to go back home to talk to. This is why in the adult classes we're inviting their parents, their grandmothers, someone that they are regularly in contact with, and that's why we're learning language in the home with the adults. Internalized conversation. Family thinking our language and speaking our language is primitive. That may have been a reason why I'm not a fluent speaker from birth. Maybe it's because of the experiences that my parents had as they Aboriginal people and language speakers, and not being able to speak their language in public, etc. Maybe they wanted to protect me from that, shield me from that, but unfortunately it didn't benefit me in any way. We all feel the same racism, etc. And I actually would have thrived a bit better in work-wise if I had known my language. Because in Alice Springs, being a language speaker is well sought after. Now, teaching our family that language is valuable in employment, like I just said. Alice Springs is a big town with a whole heap of different Aboriginal speakers. If we can let our children know that there are jobs out there for language speakers, I'm hoping that they'll embrace Pertame and take this journey on with us. The Pertame language nest for babies. We haven't started this yet. This is a program we're planning for this year. For this year, we've actually going to have new roles. Vanessa will be doing the admin things with the grants, etc. Samantha will be taking over the MAP program and the adult classes. And then we've got a couple other ladies. Shania, I'll be assisting her with making plans for the primary schools. And then there's myself. I'll be in charge of the language nest for babies. My history with this is that I worked in a playgroup for about 10 years. I was also a mum at a playgroup, so that's where I got involved with playgroups. I've also done parenting programs, so I'm hoping to introduce that somehow as well. We've got Oriel as well. Oriel is Christabel's daughter, and she'll be our community outreach officer. It's her job to go out and find these men that want to join, find the women that want to join, find the whole 3 generations of people, and we'll place them in programs and support them that way. Yeah.
So this is a quote that I'm just going to share with you about my journey as a Pertame person, as well as a Pertame language apprentice. The feeling is indescribable. I feel so much pride in myself and what we are doing to make sure Pertame is being recognised as a language that has always been in Central Australia. And it's being woken up from a long sleep by us apprentices for our people to learn and make strong again. So we'd just like to thank our sponsors, Global Indigenous Language Caucus, Majichi House, 7th Generation Fund, and lastly, I'd like to just say thank you to the Cherokee Nation for allowing us to present and for welcoming us to your country. Kala Mara. Oh, before we go, we're going to do our chant in Pertame.
Nuna Pertame rila maba nama, nuna nanala kuta nama, nuna ka icha ingicha yarama. We are Pertame people. We have always been here. Our language will never finish.